early afternoon, immediately after the close of our last episode, as Kate Beekman eagerly, curiously awaits a visit from Helen Powers. Meanwhile, in the Auto Theft Division of Police Headquarters, in the office of Lieutenant Edward Bailey...
O'Brien, this is Lieutenant Bailey. Send in a police stenographer, will you? I want to take a statement from a prisoner.
Well, why not? And just how long will I have to wait? I have a very distinguished visitor.
Excuse me, Lieutenant.
Just a minute, Miss Street.
I can take shorthand.
You? Is that okay with you, Mr. Mason?
That's up to you and Miss Street.
Oh, I don't mind if it'll save time.
Never mind, O'Brien. I've got a stenographer. Compliments of the distinguished visitor. They're going to bring the kid in now.
Well, let's get a couple of things straight before they do, Lieutenant.
Such as?
First, Miss Street is acting as stenographer. Compliments of Miss Street, not me.
Well, then I'll say thanks to Miss Street. What else, Mr. Mason?
If you resent my presence here, I'll get out.
No, sir. No. I want you to stick around so you won't get in my way later. We can and will do the job, and we don't need some fancy Dan looking over our shoulder. And nothing personal intended, Mr. Mason. I hope you don't clear out now. Not yet. Because when you see what we're up against, you'll want to clear out. For good. There he is now.
Harry.
Just call me Fancy Dan.
Okay, son, drive on in. Go sit in that straight chair beside my desk.
Okay, Lute.
My name is Lieutenant Bailey.
I know your name, Lute. Oh, we got company, huh?
This is Marion C. Cahill. He's called Snooky. This is Mr. Mason and Miss Street.
Hiya, Miss Street. I'll tell you what. You call me Snooky, and I'll call
Mind
you...
your manners, kid. Miss Street's going to take notes on what we say.
What you say, Lute. I ain't talking. Not before I see my lawyer.
Yeah? Who's your lawyer, Cahill?
I haven't decided. You know a good lawyer, miss?
I'll see you get to a lawyer.
Swell. When?
After we have our little talk.
I ain't talking, Lieutenant.
Don't be a chump, kid. We caught you driving a stolen car.
Okay if I smoke, Lieutenant?
You're only making it tough on yourself.
I want a lawyer.
Mr. Mason here's a lawyer. He'll tell you there's nothing a lawyer can do to get you out of this.
You, Perry Mason?
Yes. Ask him, Cahill.
Why should I ask him? He's on your side.
He'll give you the word of a lawyer.
Why should I believe anybody on your side?
Cahill, it's true. I hope to work with the police, but I don't mind telling you your legal rights. You have the right to consult an attorney of your choice.
Mason.
And the lieutenant cannot force you to make a statement against your will.
That's just what I'm talking about, Mason.
Look at this boy, Lieutenant. He doesn't feel one half as tough as he talks. But he's not a fool.
All right, Mason, you've said enough.
I said he's not a fool.
Do you have a record, Cahill? Why?
I can tell you, yeah. He's got a record. I've got it right here. Cahill, Marion C., Snooky, age 20. Placed on probation as juvenile delinquent 7347, apprehended and charged with vandalism 72148. Committed to Boys Correctional Institute 8148, released 8149. Arrested for loitering in vicinity of felony, car theft, charge dismissed. Lack of evidence. Arrested for car theft 21050, tried, convicted, released 51552. Various appearances at the show up and held for questioning 3 times. Yeah, he's got a record.
Well, then you know the ropes, son. Clamming up won't get you anywhere.
And where will talking get me? What about that, Mr. Mason? You offering me a deal?
Now, you know better than that. Nobody's going to promise you a thing. But I can tell you this, with Lieutenant Bailey's permission.
Go ahead.
We want the men who operate the syndicate, the heads, your boss. I'm sure the lieutenant and the district attorney will regard as a favor anything you can do for them. And if you're really smart, you'll do the people on our side all the favors you can. You are in trouble.
Yeah. Only, I can't tell you what I don't know.
You don't know who you work for?
No.
Well, how could you... Oh, well, you take over, Lieutenant.
Oh, I'd rather watch you, Mr. Mason. Go right ahead.
Start telling the truth, Cahill.
I am. I don't know the guy I worked for.
Weren't you to be paid for the car you stole?
Sure.
Well, who was going to pay you?
I don't know. You don't have to dig it out of me, Mr. Mason. I'll tell you, I know what I'm licked. I work for a smart guy, Mr. Mason. I guess there's smart guys back of him. You called it a syndicate. I don't know. Maybe it is. Anyhow, the guy I worked for was smart. When I got out of reform school, I went back to live with my folks. My old man was working, and it wasn't so bad. Then I don't know. I got a couple of jobs, but I don't know. The jobs was no good. Anyhow, I was broke all the time, you know? So one night this guy speaks to me. It was dark, so I couldn't see him. So I stepped out of an alley light. Anyhow, he says he knows me and do I want a job? I says, maybe. Doing what? And he gives me $50 to pick up a car. Paid me in advance. Said if I did what he said, why, I'd make a lot more dough on other jobs.
You do it?
Yeah, I picked it up.
Deliver it to him?
Oh, no. I never saw the guy again. Not that I saw much the one time I did see him.
What did you do with the car?
Delivered it to a side street number he gave me. I heard from him a couple of days later, this time on the phone. He says, you know who this is? And I said, sure. And he gave me another order.
Operate the same way?
Just about. Different cars, different places to drop them.
Mm-hmm. And you were always contacted by phone?
Yeah. Yeah, the guy would call 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 times a week. He'd always have the heap spotted. I mean, he'd say to go to such and such an address at such and such a time, and you'll see a car parked. Deliver it to a certain address.
License plate?
They sent me some through the mail.
They pay you by mail?
Yeah.
Get the picture, Mr. Mason?
Well, I'm getting it.
I think it's clear enough. The guy Cahill worked for is a nice, sneak racket. He contacts some kid by phone. If the kid's caught, what can he tell us? Describe a voice over the phone?
There's a little more than that.
Oh, sure. Cahill,
Yeah?
what type cars did you usually pick up?
Oh, once in a while, an expensive custom job, but mostly medium-price stuff. Chevys, Dodges, Fords, Hudsons, Studebakers.
Yeah. Stuff that's hard to spot. Late model, medium-price cars they could sell for around $1,500. Say they only netted $1,000 a car. They sell 1,000 cars, they make $1 million.
Which doesn't explain where they got their drivers.
Cahill just told us.
He told us how he started working for them. But not many kids would accept the proposition without more contact with the boss than Cahill had. How about that, Cahill?
I could have maybe an idea, Mr. Mason.
Kid, you got something to say it straight.
If you don't mind, Lieutenant, I'm interested in Cahill's kind of an idea.
Yeah? Okay, what's your idea, Cahill?
I'm not saying it's this way, Lieutenant. You hear me, Mr. Mason?
I hear you.
Well, say I've been working for the guy who calls me up for maybe a year. And he calls me and asks me if I know anybody. Anybody wants to work for him like I do. So, maybe I say, maybe I do.
Cut out the maybes, Cahill.
I'll tell it my way or I don't tell it, Lieutenant.
Let's listen, Bailey.
I'm not saying this did happen, but it could have. I could have contacted some guys I know and feel them out, and if any of them are really interested, I pass their name along to the guy who calls me on the phone.
Well, you got any more questions, Mr. Mason?
No.
Come on, Cahill. O'Brien, take Cahill downstairs and book him. Well, there's your answer, Mason. But it don't bring us any closer to the higher-ups.
That's a clever scheme.
I knew you'd think so. You see what we're up against?
Yes, you certainly have got your problems.
Yeah, but we'll bust it. We'll get a break. We'll bust it. And we don't need a mastermind second-guessing us. You got any brilliant suggestions?
Well, nothing brilliant, perhaps. I suggest you let Miss Street transcribe her notes so you can study them carefully.
I'll send them right over, Lieutenant.
Well, anything else, Mr. Mason?
Well, not just at the moment, Lieutenant.
You're smart enough to see you've got no place in this fight. You're a good man in your element, Mason. They say you do real well in a courtroom. But now you're out of your depth.
What about the Cesar case and the Bott case?
This isn't stolen jewels, Miss Street. This is a tough, dirty fight where we keep slugging till we bat their ears down.
I prefer fighting with my brain, personally.
Now, you see you want no part of this, huh?
Well, you've certainly given me something to think about, Lieutenant.
But, Perry...
The Lieutenant has made some very pertinent points, Della.
In regard to the fight against the stolen car syndicate?
Well, Mr. Mason's not backing away from a fight, Miss Street. I know him better than that. Mr. Mason's thinking how those insurance men would feel if he took their dough and didn't deliver.
It is something to think about. Well, thanks ever so much, Lieutenant. Come, Della. Good day, Lieutenant Bailey.
Good day, Mr. Mason.
Harry, he thinks you're afraid to take the job.
Seems to.
Well, but Now, wait a minute. You said to call you Fancy Dan. Are you being fancy, Counselor? You're up to something, Perry Mason.
Maybe.
What?
Maybe. I'll tell you. Later. All right, Della. Here's the elevator.
It's obvious Perry Mason has something up his sleeve. It's equally obvious Della doesn't know what it is. What do you think it is? Well, you'll join us tomorrow, won't you?